Is that you again, Riven? I told you I'm working on your order, but it's a very large order, and the more you interrupt me, the longer it's going to take. Oh, you're not Riven. So sorry about that. Please do come in. I don't recognize you. That means one of two things. Either there is someone around here selling incredible disguise kits, in which case I will absolutely need to know where you got that from, or you're new to the Thieves Guild here. I figured you were new. If it was the former, then someone got quite a bit more powerful, because there's very little that my amulet of truth can't see through as far as disguises go. Anyway, welcome to the guild. You have found yourself in one of the scariest places in the city, according to some. But here, we call it home. You'll find all manner of people here. Some of them looking a little bit scary. Some of them not so much. But all of them very, very skilled in relieving people of their riches, I suppose. Well, I see that you have found your way to the market. Clearly, that's what all of these stalls around here are for. Oh, you're right. I don't particularly look like a thief, do I? That's, kind of the point. You see, some thieves around here, they rely on their strength, on their weapons, their brawn. Nothing wrong with that, per se. Others might rely mostly on their stealth, their ability to skulk through the shadows. But in my experience, there's something that works just as effectively as those two things. Charm. A charming smile, a playful turn of phrase can unlock just as many doors as a lockpick. In my humble experience, at least. Rule number 1 of the Thieves Guild: don't let appearances fool you. There are some of the roughest, toughest looking faces around here hide the most gentle, tender-hearted souls. And some of the most sweet, delicate-looking faces might also be the most deadly. Don't let appearances fool you. Especially those who sell all these kinds of disguises, useful things like that. Have you made some fun purchases today to help you out with your new jobs? Good, good. I'm glad to hear it. There's quite a lot that a disguise can do for a thief. But you know, in my experience, it's not just the clothes or the mask or something like that that makes a good disguise. It's also the character. That's where I come in. You see what I have in here, in these bottles. Something you won't find in any of the other stalls around here. I sell bottled voices. Bottled characters for any sort of story that you might wish to spin. Whether you'd like to be a foreign dignitary visiting a city from far away, or whether you'd like to blend in with the locals. These can be incredibly powerful, incredibly useful for telling a story, creating a character, and getting people to trust you. Well, here, I wouldn't be a very good salesperson at the Guild of Thieves if I didn't give a demonstration to show what I'm talking about. Here, let me get you a glass. Here, I'll take one too. I'll demonstrate it for you, but if you would like, you can also drink some as well. Now, one sip of my potions is good for about an hour or so, unless, of course, you drink another one. Here, let's start with this one, maybe. Now, this dialect comes from the port city of Tivermack. Have you ever had the pleasure of traveling there? Well, the people who live in Tivermack have a very fascinating way of talking. Many of them come from across the sea to the east, so you never know who you might run into there. This would be a perfect voice for someone, say, who is a trader, perhaps, or maybe a captain who has mastered the high seas. Be all kinds of prestige. Here, hold out your glass. Now, you'll notice that each of these have a very distinctive taste as well. Tell me what you get when you taste the voice of Tivermack. Cheers. Interesting flavour, don't you think? You know, in Tivermack they got this lovely lilt to their voice. Something quite unique, I find anyway. And the flavour of this, it tastes like summer. It tastes warm and fresh, like a summer day spent at the seashore, perhaps. Very interesting, don't you think? Now, maybe you don't have a particular job to pull in Tivermack, but maybe you'd like to say that you're from Tivermack. As I said, there's all kinds of people that you might find in a port city. It's a good place to start a story. Maybe you're even some sort of royal dignitary from across the seas. See, it's that sort of story that is very difficult to say isn't true. Travelling by sea, of course, takes months sometimes, at least weeks, and so to actually confirm that the story is true or not is probably going to take longer than the actual job. So, perhaps that's something you'd like to look into. Maybe not, that's alright. I've got plenty of other ones too. Maybe instead of a port sea, you'd like to go a bit further south, eh? Now this one is a taste of the wilds to the south of the kingdom. You ever been there? Well, the people of the wilds are just as warm-hearted as the land that they inhabit. Try a bit of this one, if you'd like. Cheers, mate. A beautiful blend, don't you think? Such a wonderful array of spices. Warm, but not too warm. Just a lovely taste. Again, almost a taste of summer, but more of the dry heat that just makes you feel lazy and pampered. The people of the wilds are a very rich culture. Nowadays it is mostly different cities, city-states, large areas. You see, travel throughout the desert, throughout the land of the wilds, can be very, very difficult. And so most of them have developed, completely self-sustaining societies. Now, the interesting thing about the wilds is that it actually used to be the home of some very grand empire. We don't know much about them except for the ruins that are found throughout the desert. Evidence of a mighty civilization. Much more research is needed to actually find out more about this lost empire that has been swallowed by the sands of time. But the people of the wilds are generally very welcoming. Yes, they have a kindness and a camaraderie to them, especially the people of the glittering city of Baywith. Now, Baywith can be a bit difficult to get to from our country here, but in my experience, it is very worth it. The culture and the welcoming nature of the city. Very few, I think, would dislike it. Unless you hate the heat, then perhaps you should not go there. Maybe in the winter. But maybe your jobs will not take you to Baywith. Now, you could always say that you are some ambassador or a trader from Baywith, especially if you have access to some of their beautiful silks or their rare spices to sell. That can be quite a wonderful character as well. But perhaps you have something a bit different in store. Perhaps you would like to say that you come from one of the lands to the east of our kingdom here. In which case, maybe you would like a potion like this. This one has a very, very interesting taste to it as well. See what you think of it. As I said, it is just one sip. It will last you about an hour. Of course, if you will be gone or portraying a certain character for a long time, then you will need more than just a sip. But a sip is all it takes to get the effect. I love the flavour of this one. It's one of my absolute favourites, I would say. It tastes like a lovely spring day where the flowers are just starting to bloom on the mountainside and the air feels hopeful. New life is waking up, coming on all around us. The meadows, the forest, and the seas as well. The birds are starting to return and making their nests and laying their eggs. Soon we'll have chirping in the morning of all the little chicks. Quite a lovely one, I think. This is an accent that comes, as I said, from across the sea. A land very far away. Again, quite difficult to verify. So maybe that would be a good idea for you. Always nice to have a character that has a bit of mystery to it, don't you think? You know, I actually used this accent when I played a princess that had been scorned by her evil father and required the help of some kind and conveniently very rich soul to help her out. That was quite a fun job that I pulled, gotta say. But perhaps you're looking for something a bit closer to home, yeah? Here, let me get this one over here. Now this one, this is the accent from the Empire to the west of our kingdom. The lands of Khandagar. Have you ever been there? Well, perhaps you should go someday. Here. Now, see what you think of that one. Now, the people of Khandagar, they are a very proud and strong people. You know, the empire itself has been wrought with turmoil over the past few decades. Recently, it has been unified once again under a very powerful empress. She calls herself the Viper of the West. Well, it is unclear whether she started that name or whether her people started it for her. But either way, she is a formidable character. So perhaps you would like to play an emissary for the Empress herself. Or perhaps your jobs will take you traveling into the Empire. That is a place that it would be very beneficial to be able to blend in with the people. You see, there is still, some issues of trust, especially for outsiders. Much of the turmoil was started because there were people from outside of Khandagar who wished to make a mark on the powerful empire. And then things went terribly wrong. They are, very strong. It is also where the Dragonian people originate from. Although there are humans and quite a few dwarves that live over there too. But they do not sound like the dwarves of our kingdom. Although it is possible that the dwarves from our kingdom originally came from Khandagar. But they have lived here for so long that they have created a voice all of their own, I suppose. But perhaps it would be useful to have a potion that would help you speak like you are from Khandagar. Maybe. Or maybe you would like a bit of a different one. This one has a very interesting voice as well. It is a bit closer to home again. The nobility, especially in the city of Eifendel, or even some of the more reclusive elves, have this voice. To your good health. That's a nice taste, isn't it? This one to me tastes a bit more like winter. A crisp winter's morning. Not a dull and grey sort of winter's morning. Perhaps the morning after a lovely snow. Where the world wakes up, the sun glistens upon the fresh snow. And you sit inside by the fire, drinking a nice warm cup of tea, perhaps eating a delicious pastry. That's what this one reminds me of. Quite a lovely accent, I find. And this is one that quite a few people also come to trust very easily, especially when paired with a charming smile, as I said. Anyway, so that's just sort of a taste of some of the different potions that I offer here. I offer smaller sizes like this, or of course the larger ones if you're going to be gone for quite a while. To me, creating the character is half the fun of a job. You see, if I do my job correctly, then I won't need things like lots and lots of weapons or lots of tools for stealth or things like that, because if someone trusts me, they'll just unlock the door for me. It's a different technique, to be sure. Not everyone can pull it off. But no matter how you choose to thieve, I suppose, remember this. Your greatest strength is not any sort of disguise. It's not the cover of darkness. It's not any sort of weapon or your skill with that weapon. Your greatest strength is your mind. Keep your wits about you always. Even if you are someone who only relies on their strength. When a job goes sour, and I say when, because there will be jobs that go sour, oftentimes being quick-witted and cool-headed is what is going to save you. Also, once you pull some easier jobs and are able to save up some money, something like this I would really suggest picking up. I'm sure there's still someone in the market that sells them. The man that I got this from, he retired and is living like a king somewhere in the Tivermack Mountains. The last I heard, anyway, but I'm sure that you could get your hands on it if you made it known that you were looking for something. Anyway, would you like to purchase any of these very useful potions today? Well, I suppose if you don't have a specific job in mind yet, perhaps you don't have need for them yet, but I will be here when you need it. And, maybe talking with people is not your strong suit, but using one of these potions and being able to become someone else, it's quite an empowering thing, actually. If you feel awkward or uncomfortable in a situation, perhaps the character you're playing does not feel that way. And it can be a way to almost overcome any sort of social anxiety too. Either way, whenever you need them, I will be here. Remember what I said. Keep your wits about you always. And welcome to the Thieves Guild.